It's time again to make another soft shackle. So today we're going to make one of these. This looks kind of familiar. It's a little different than the previous ones, but this one has a feature of being super easy to open, super easy to close, and it's pretty easy to make. If you made the other ones, you can also make this one. Let's do a little recap here. Here's what we made last time. So this guy has a closing noose, but it's part of a berry. We call this automatic closing, although, it tends to require a little bit of milking, even though once you set it up and pull on it, the outer berry. One of the things I don't like about this one, and it's not even a big deal, especially for hammock suspension, but these two strands right here, they always get like really worn out. It's because you have to pinch right here and pull right here. Not a super big deal, but let's build it a new way. So we just need 30 inches of 7/64 AM steel that are Dyneema spliceable, and then we just go to the center. This is one set of instructions, and we're going to have two different styles of soft shackles. So stick around, I'll show you. We're just going to go to the center of the braid like before, like we're doing a little noose, We're just making, let me open this soft shackle so we can follow along, see what we're doing. Makes it easier. So we're just going to make this part right here. We're going to make that noose part. Go in the center, grab one strand, it doesn't matter, because we were right at the halfway point, remember? And then pull the strand through to create the noose. You can use 2 or 3 strands of 7/64 or one of these titanium nail stakes. And then we go 2 inches down. 2 inches down from the bottom part of our little noose. And then we're going to pull the short piece through the long piece. So we have a long piece and a short piece. To begin the next steps, we're going to go through the long piece and grab the short piece. And what we're making right now is just the lock Bremel part of this. So just make a lock Bremel. We went short through the long, and now we're gonna go long through the short to create the lock Bremel. We can go back in if we want with our little loop management device. And now we're going to bury the short inside of the long. As you can see, we got a little bit of length overlap here, and that came from doing the noose. So let's go down 4 inches, 2, 3, 4, and then we want to go 4 inches on the long piece right here. And so what we're going to do is enter the long piece at 4 inches, go all the way up, grab the short piece, and pull it inside. Just like on this one. You see we got the noose loop. 2 inches down, we did a lock Bremel, and then a strand is buried inside the strand. So we're going to bury the short inside the long at 4 inches down, right there. Just open the braid up and go up to your lock Bremel. And now you can see why we did the sequence of the long and short strands. We started with one strand and pulled the other strand through, because if we hadn't have done that, we wouldn't have been able to bury this strand inside of this strand. It would have been reverse. Yeah. So that's the reason why we pull the short through the long first. And so now pull that strand inside there. You can pull on both of your strands to get this all seated in there, because that outer braid will be opened up a little bit. It's good to get it closed back down. You can use one of your little blunt splicing objects to pull everything. And now we're going to do another lock Bremel. So we're at this part now. We're at this part of our shackle. So of course we have to start with the strand that's exposed. We can't start with this strand because it'll just go back into itself. So we start with the strand that's coming out of the other strand. Grab the strand that's part of the outer braid and pull it on through. We can always stop too and put our little loop management, whatever we're using, and give everything a pull. Make sure that it's looking how we want it. So that looks good. And then let's finish the lock brummel at the end of this with one more pass through. Okay, and then you'll notice that the strands will equalize as you do this, because you had one strand longer, but then that longer strand, you buried a strand inside of it, which pulled some of the length up. That's what happened with our berry right there. So now what's left to do is get 5.5 inches of strand extended. And just like with the other shackles, we can control the strands with a piece of tape. And now we got to tie the button knot. So if you haven't tied the button knot, check out a video that I'll put in the description where I use this right here, this huge rope, and I tie the button knot with it. And if you tie the button knot with a bigger strand, it just makes it easier for your mind to understand it, and it's way less frustrating. That's another great thing. Sometimes if you start with narrow diameter, you get frustrated, and then it's just like, screw it. So yeah, check out doing this with the bigger strand, and it'll help you a lot. But let's tie that knot. We just go a loop around one strand like that, and then we do the same thing back to the other strand, loop around, and that loop that we're doing, it also needs to go around that original loop. So that's what it looks like at this point. And then we take that strand and also go around that one. And now we pull it all snug. One good thing to do is tap the knot like this. It'll flatten it out. It'll give you a really good visual of what's going on and where you might need to adjust it. And now we just go down through this loop right here and down through this loop over here with the splicing tool and grab the opposite strand. So as you can see, there's a loop right there and there's a loop right there. And what we're trying to do is take this strand around, go up through there. We're trying to take this strand around and go up through there, right beyond the other strand. And the place that we're going is beyond this strand. So we're going to go in here. We're going to go in here. So go into the knot, grab the other strand. We're doing the exact same thing to each side of the knot. So go in there beyond that strand, grab the other one, and then pull it through. And now you can manipulate the knot with your thumb and forefinger a little bit to get it all equalized and flatten it out. So you can see if it looks all symmetrical here, then you know that you've done everything right. And it looks pretty symmetrical. So then we just go open the center of the knot up, and these two strands will go down through the center there, and then they'll get buried inside of here to finish everything off. So as you know, like this is what we're doing. We're so close, guys. Okay, pull one strand through, go back in with your yarning needle and or tent stake. That. Pull the strand through. And now you can enlist the help of your little bent nose pliers. The bent nose pliers are really good for gripping this because it kind of goes around the corner like that. You can pull a little bit. If these two strands kind of look a little bit uneven, now is a good time to go back to your noose part, and then you can just pull on it like this, and it'll get everything seated in there, and the knot will give up some of its length to make everything perfect. Of course, we got to get the sticky tape out of there. Okay, so here we go. As you see, we got just enough left to bury the remains of that 5.5 inches that we use to make the knot. All the way up to the bottom, grab the strand, feel free to fast forward to the end. If you guys watch my videos, you've probably done this a few times. That was my elbow on the sewing machine. Not the first time. Okay, one strand left. We're almost there. We're almost to the end. Well, not the end. That would be kind of sad. Okay, and we can use our bent nose pliers too to seat these guys in here if we want. That's what I usually do. Yep. So, here it is. So, we got our little noose right here. It opens up super easy. And look at how fast it closes. It's closed super fast. Here's our black one. So, you guys might notice this looks like something else. Yes, it looks like an Evo loop. So, Evo loop can be a soft shackle too. However, some people don't like this part. This is called the soft link. However, it can fairly easily be opened. Not like super easy, but it's not the most secure. So, we've learned to make this soft shackle this way, like I just showed you with this red one. Opens up super easy, closes super fast, minimum grabbing and pinching. You can actually even hold it right here. You can hold the strand right here and push it up to open it. So, super easy to close, super easy to open, way easier. Well, significantly less effort than this style, and still provides a really, really good lock. But look at this one. Remember, we were looking at the Evo loop and we didn't like that soft link part? So with this shackle, it's the same instructions as this shackle, only you don't do the noose part. So instead of the noose part, we just created a loop, lock brummel, 4-inch bury, another lock brummel, then we tie the knot. So now check out this soft link. We're going to soft link it like the Evo loop, up and over. And since we have such a narrow loop, and since these two strands only go about 1.5 inches, this soft link is not going to come apart unless you really get up there and push it through, like you really get up there and pull these strands open and pop it through, especially if there's any weight on it. And even if it's popped through, it's still going to be in this position. And in this position with that small loop, it's gripping the knot almost like a noose. Yeah, so you can get the Evo Loop soft shackle mode, the soft link, which is the easiest and also the most forgiving, because you see those two half turns? As the shackle gets uneven forces on it like this, a noose type shackle like this, the noose can't really handle that. One of these strands is going to get really tight and have more stress. With the soft link, it has the ability to pulley through like this over uneven stuff. Like if you had it around this thing and then you had it around something that was uneven, the noose is just going to pull you around in there inside of that little figure. Whereas this type of soft shackle, one of these strands is going to get super tight. So there you go. You can now make 2 shackles. This one, that's going to allow you to do a soft link with the most security possible in a soft link, because you got 2 strands close together. Yeah. My favorite. What's your guys' favorite? You guys like this one? You like this one? Do you like the fast shackle? Personally, I still like the Evo loop because it's just so easy. There are 2 strands that kind of You know, these two strands, what are they out here doing? It's almost like the soft shackle is just like a mess or whatever. But if you hold it like this and then those two strands are controlled, usually by like the end of your hammock, then it really doesn't make a difference. But still my favorite. But if you like using the soft link for the ease of use and the added maximum strength, there you go. Just make it like I showed you, but don't use the noose part, or use the noose part, and you got super easy to open, and you got almost the security. Look at how quick that closes. You got almost the same security as one of these. Like one of these, you kind of have to do more grip. You got to pull the braid, and then it's automatic in theory, but yeah, it's not quite automatic. And these strands over here always get, I don't know, they always seem to seem more worn out. So there it is, one more soft shackle for you guys to make.